I'd like to thank everybody for joining me today. Today, I want to talk about phantom stock plans. Phantom stock plans are a unique way to incentivize and compensate our key employees, especially our C-suite kind of employees. And so, as we start going through, this employee retention conversation, it's one as to have a successful business, we need to recruit and reward and retain our key employees, those that are going to make a difference. And if you think about that, if you as the owner of a business want to grow your business, at some point, a lot of times I see companies that hit that ceiling. They can't, they're not growing past that ceiling that they've hit, and they've got to break through that plateau. And to do that, they typically have to go out and either bring in new talent or take the talent that they have and elevate them into roles that are going to help them continue. Well, as you go out and recruit these people, we have to start looking at how are we going to compensate those individuals? How are we going to incentivize them to step up into that role? And as I look at this, well, and you look at the possible solutions, well, of course, we can increase their compensation. But if you increase that compensation, is that going to incentivize them the right way? And then you think, okay, I need their base comp, and then I look at bonuses. Well, I can tie the bonuses, to growth, to sales, to net income, to EBITDA. There's different places that we can tie those bonuses in. There again, are we incentivizing them the right way? Executive bonus and split dollar, I think, are unique ways to bring in life insurance and also to help increase those especially incentives to stay long term. So if we have the right talent, are we incentivizing them to stay? I've worked with clients that have said, I need my key people here for 7 years, 10 years, whatever that is, so that you don't have to continue to go out and look for new talent. There again, bringing in new talent's not bad if it fits your situation. Today, I want to talk about using phantom stock. And phantom stock is an interesting tool because I think it incentivizes our key people to bring them more in line with what our owner's vision is for their company. And if you think about an owner's mentality, their owner's mentality is, I want this business to be have longevity. It's creating a legacy for the owner. But the goal is, to grow value. And that value sometimes is growing the top line number, sometimes it's growing the bottom line number, sometimes it's a combination. But when you take an owner's mentality, it's not just the short-term gains, but it's the long-term gains that stay and are effective over time. So if you look at a phantom stock plan, it's a long-term incentive plan that grants employees the right to receive a cash bonus equal to the appreciation and the value of a set number of shares without actually issuing stock. So if you think about that, and look at the key features. Number one, we're not bringing them in as a true owner. We're not diluting our ownership percentages. The employee isn't going to actually own equity in our company, but the payment is tied to the valuation or a liquidity event in the future. So if you think about it, a sale, an IPO, an ESOP, some point in the future, we're going to, have this terminate either in a set period of time or with one of our liquidity events. But it's going to drive the bonus that our employee is going to receive is based on a percentage of the appreciation and value of the company's stock. So if it grows $2 million and we gave them 10% of phantom stock, that 2 million equates to 200,000 of bonus at the end of the phantom stock term. So why would you offer phantom stock? I think that's a good place to start. Well, I think number one, it benefits, the company by retaining and incentivizing our key employees, giving them an incentive to stay, but also giving them the incentive to grow the value of the company. It's going to align the employee's interests with the company performance. There again, some of that could be short term. We're giving up some of our short term gains to make sure over the long term that it's the right decisions. And we're not adding them in as an actual equity partner, so we eliminate some of those concerns. From the employee side, they get the opportunity to share in the company growth. So all of their hard work, they know they're going to receive, compensation based on that. And at the end, they're going to get, a payout in cash, that extra bonus as the value increases. So if you look at it, let's look at how this plan comes together. So the first thing is the company is going to set up the phantom stock plan, and they're going to decide who do they want to give that to. Who is the right employee? Who are we trying to incentivize? Is this our CEO? Is it our whole C-suite? Is it key managers? Whoever in your company is necessary to incentivize them to grow the value of the company. That's who we're looking at. And we decide how much do we want to include in this plan. Do we want to give them 10% of the growth, 20% of the growth? Maybe we're giving them 50% of the growth. Whatever that is, it's got to be a good enough carrot to incentivize them to really put in that effort to grow the value of our company. After we get that plan together and we know who we're going to include, then we give them, those shares, those phantom shares. And there again, remember, phantom shares are not true equity of the company. So the employee does not have the right to vote. They don't have the right to see the books of the company. They are not in an ownership meeting, but you're going to have to show them the things that they need to see so they can see the value of their efforts growing. Now, as the company grows, the value of the phantom shares increase. So if let's say it's a 10-year plan, at the end of each year, I want to sit down with my employees and say, hey, this year the company grew, $1 million in value. That grows your stock, your phantom stock, say it's 10%. Okay, you just locked in, for this year, 100,000 of gain of bonus, as long as we can maintain that through the phantom stock plan period. And at some point in time, we are going to have a triggering event. And when that triggering event happens, our key employee is going to get paid out in stock. So there again, if over a 10-year period and we gave them 10% of phantom stock, then at the end of 10 years, if the company grew $10 million, our employee gets $1 million bonus. Now, we've got to, I have some owners that I've talked to, it's like, oh, that's too big of a bonus. But if I asked you, would you be willing to give up $1 million to grow 10 million in value? And everybody, oh yeah, I would do that. I think that's a good trade-off. Well, we have to be ready for that trade-off because it is real. At the end of this plan, if that's what we've committed to, we have to be ready to pay it out. And so there again, proper planning needs to take place because we're incentivizing our key employees. Now we want to be ready to pay that out. So at the end of the plan, whether that's 10 years, 5 years, 7 years, whatever it is, we're going to have that liquidity event, that point in time where we have to, pay up on that bonus. Well, we can just put that off and use the company assets 10 years from now or whatever it is. Or we can set up a sinking fund. A sinking fund is, if we think the bonus is going to be $1 million over a 10-year period, well, we could put away 100,000 a year and keep it as an asset on the books of the company. There again, it's the company can use it for whatever they want, but we're preparing for that liquidity that we need. I like to use life insurance in this part of the plan, because if the employee dies, we've got a death benefit that we can either, pay out what we owe on the phantom stock, use that as a key person, insurance policy for part of that death benefit, But if it's a cash value policy, we're going to build up that cash inside that life insurance policy. We can do it, tax-free growth. We can access it tax-free if we've done it right. And if we need to, we can separate that away from the corporation for asset protection for that policy. So phantom stock is a great way to incentivize our key people, align their own, align their incentive with the owners of the business, and overall get a great result overall for our company and for our business owners. I appreciate everybody getting on. If you have questions, feel free to reach out. And if not, we'll talk again next week. Thank you.